What's up and good morning. Happy Saturday morning to you. It is about 8:06 in sunny Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Ren Jones. I've got another quick and dirty live broadcast for you. We're going to talk about something today that's really common amongst the population that I serve. I work with women in midlife, and one thing that's really common is a sense of being out of control around food, right? Overeating, not necessarily technically binge behavior, but definitely a sense of feeling like can't control your cravings, can't control the amount of food that you eat when you do eat. And I have a method specifically for that I came up with around 2016. By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Ren Jones. I'm a certified personal trainer through National Academy of Sports Medicine. I'm also certified as a level 1 and level 2 nutrition coach through an organization called Precision Nutrition. I've got a few other certifications that are specific to women's coaching and to menopause, one from Stacy Sims, one through MedFit, and one through Girls Gone Strong. And I want to talk to you about this HOPE method because I want to help you develop some skills that will allow you to balance out your relationship with food. Now, these are skills, so I'm not going to say something to you today. You take it away, and in the next 5 minutes, you solve your life's problems when it comes to nutrition. But these are things that can be practiced skills to get better at over time. I'm going to try to breeze through this quickly because I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I know that most people are going to come back and watch this on a replay anyway. So without further ado, let's dive in. Before I dive in, got to pay the bills because it's the last 2 days of my open enrollment for my 15-week signature program for midlife women. It's called Women's Liberation Movement. It's not a new program for me. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. For about 5 years, I've been working with women along the menopause spectrum as a menopause-informed coach. Long story short, if you want to feel at home in your body again and no longer feel like your body is betraying you, and if you want to do that without spending your life in the gym or without restricting foods, without counting calories or macronutrients, nothing wrong with that. It's just not what we do in this program. Then this may be a good fit for you. DM me the word live, LIVE. I'll know that you saw me here. We'll have a quick chat in the DM and see if the program might be a good fit for you. The enrollment closes tomorrow, and I really need to clear my throat. So let's talk about this HOPE method. HOPE. It was 2016 when I came up with this. Back then, everything had to be an acronym. So don't sue me because I've given you a HOPE method. But yes, every letter stands for something. Let's dive into it now. And the first letter of the HOPE method is the H. We're starting off with honoring your hunger. That may feel underwhelming to you, but I'm going to tell you a quick story that may help you see why that's so important. Because when you were a younger person, ladies, you were a toddler, you were just moving over to solid foods off the bottle. Every time that you got hungry, it was an event in the house for you and your parents because you would signal hunger through whatever method that you could, right? Depending on what your command of the language was at that point at like 3 or 4 years old, and everything stopped because the baby was hungry. The baby's hungry. We've got to stop. The baby's hungry. And it was an event. There was a special chair that they got out so you could eat, right? There was a special bowl, special spoon, right? Maybe a special bib that got out, maybe even a special song, right? I know I dance when I eat. Why not have some music playing? Am I right? So it was an event that we all slowed down for to honor your hunger. And you sat down, and maybe dad or mom or auntie or grandma or an older sibling, whoever took care of you at that point, there were some rituals to your hungry. That you gotta dance when you eat. Why wouldn't you dance when you eat? Right, Ashley? Cheryl, how you doing, coach? So this happened, and sometimes there was an airplane. That was my personal favorite. And the airplane went in. Sometimes there was a choo-choo train. I don't know, maybe there was a Herbie Love Bug if you were born in the 70s like me. Not the Lindsay Lohan one, the original Herbie Love Bug. So you were able to always honor your hunger because it was seen with a sense of importance. We ate slowly. You were interacted with quite a bit. You were very interactive with food. Maybe you threw some of the food on dad or mom's shirt. But the point is, there was never a situation where your hunger was not honored. I've got Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and X on the camera here, Instagram, so forgive me for looking away and looking back. But your hunger was honored. And you know what happened shortly after that? Somewhere around 5 years old, we started to push societal standards in between you and your hunger signaling, because someone said, you better hurry up and eat, young lady, so you can get to school. And you started to get the signal that, well, school must be more important than eating. And someone said, you better hurry up and eat if you want to get to the movies on time. And all of a sudden, all these societal things started disrupting your hunger, because you were able to easily interpret your hunger and your fullness when you were a much, much younger person, because nature, evolution, Gaia, Mother Gaia, Jesus, Muhammad, whatever you believe in, it put that inside you when you first arrived on the planet. I like to say that was packaged before you were shipped, right? But you started to learn your way out of honoring your hunger as society started to intervene. And at some point, hunger became a distraction from the important things, like getting to work, or finishing that report, or finishing that collegiate homework, or finishing that project. And now you're in a space where you probably don't really honor your hunger. Not to mention the insidious, slow creep of diet culture, right? So you started to learn that you shouldn't be hungry. Hunger is a moral failing. How dare you be hungry? That's not how you get as thin as Debbie Harry in the 80s, or Cindy Crawford, or that slim fast lady in that red one piece that dove in the water and the water didn't even splash. You can't get to the societal standard of beauty by allowing yourself to be hungry. And now hunger has become something that makes you feel like you're totally out of control, when in fact your body's very much in control of signaling you to nourish it. And this is why honoring your hunger is the first thing in that HOPE method, because so many of you feel deep cravings and feel out of control around food because you are secretly, subversively starving. Your body needs energy for all the badassery that you're involved in. You had a squat PR today. And because you had a squat PR, you pushed out a lot of energy. And the wisdom of 200,000 years ago of the evolutionary process in this vessel says, well, when we do that kind of work, we need to be properly fueled to do it, and we need to be properly fueled to recover. And in between that ancestral wisdom that your body has and you making a decision to eat, there's a block of diet culture keeping you from listening to what your body's saying. You're going longer periods of time without being fed. You're doing more activity physically, particularly if you're an active woman. You're doing more activity physically than what your feeding will allow, your fueling, your lack of fueling will allow. And you've got more stressors throughout the day that also signal you to compensate with food, because that's something else that you learned as a young person. Had a bad day at school? Don't worry, honey, we'll go get some ice cream. Had a good day at school? Damn it, ice cream, right? Had a bad day at work? I deserve my favorite slice of cheesecake from my favorite bakery. And I'm not saying that you don't. Had a good day at work? Let's celebrate at our favorite cheesecake place. So a few things intersect here. Hunger becomes a coping mechanism for emotion, unwittingly, mindlessly. You have permission to eat what you want. I'm always concerned as a nutrition coach with whether my clients are actively choosing the cheesecake or if they're defaulting to it emotionally in a mindless way. Because it's not really about what you choose to eat. It's about the mindfulness or mindlessness with which the choice is associated typically. So all these things happen. So in order to help my clients return back to a space where they're not out of control hungry, or they're not immediately defaulting to foods around them that may not be as in line with their health intention as another food, we work on honoring the hunger first. When you feel hunger, find something, and there's more to this methodology that will help you understand what I'm about to say. But when you feel hunger, find something in your environment and eat it and enjoy it and let your body be fueled, because it doesn't make sense. Think about it this way, and I've said this often, and if you've heard me before, you may have heard me say this. Think about this fact. Do you really believe that whatever creative force that created you, do you really believe that God or nature or the universe or science or evolution would put into you the ability to recognize when you need to excrete waste, when you need to poop, right? When you need to pee? Do you think that nature would put that knowledge in you? You could very easily sit here and say, whoa, I gotta poop. Or, wow, you know what? I gotta pee. Let me go pee really quick. Do you think nature would put that knowledge in you? But on the other side of the food excrement situation, not also give your body the ability to know when it's hungry and it should be fed? You think what nature just played a cosmic joke on you? Hey, you know what'd be funny? Huh? You know what'd be funny? If we make the humans where they know when it's time to poop and pee, but we won't give them any knowledge of when it's time for them to nourish themselves. They'll be so confused. That did not happen. That's not what happened. What happened is you started to disconnect from your ability to know when you need to eat and how much. And in that disconnection, now you feel out of control when you have to do it. Imagine feeling out of control, incontinence aside. I'm not talking about people who are incontinent. But imagine feeling out of control every time you have to poop. Oh my God, I've got to poop. I just feel like I'm failing. I'm just failing my health. Nobody says that. Nobody has a poop plan from their local fitness guru. They just sit there in the office and like, I really got to poop. And go ahead and poop, girl. No, my coach said I can only poop I've got a pooping window. It's between 3 and 5, and I've got an hour to go. I'm just going to shit in my pants. This does not happen. It's ridiculous the way that I'm expressing it here. I get that. And I'm saying it half-heartedly in jest, but it's ridiculous in general to think that these well-instructed, 200,000 years of wisdom organisms don't have the capacity to self-regulate hunger and satiety and excreting, going to the bathroom. Now, I understand that there's some situations where there's some psychological things happening, right? But in a normal human normal's not a great word there, I apologize for that. In a human that doesn't have some of those aggressive psychological challenges around food, it's not normal to feel like you should always be combative against your hunger. So, number one, for keeping you away from the cravings and out of control feelings around food, you gotta eat, sis. When you're hungry, have something to eat. Let's go on to the O. So, the O in the HOPE method for keeping you away from situations, the infamous pooping. You gotta talk about the pooping. The shit window is a real thing, Cheryl. Don't laugh at me. I'm always talking about pooping when you show up, Ashley. Have you noticed that? The O in the HOPE method reflects back to what I just talked about in terms of grab some of the food around you, because we want to organize our environment. All too often we misunderstand how crucial environment is to any change you want to make to your behaviors, your situations, your life. And we end up white knuckling our way through an environment that is not conducive to the changes that we want to make. The example that I always give, and my clients like Cheryl here have heard me give this example often, the example that I always give is my love of donuts. Krispy Kreme in particular. I'm from a little city in central North Carolina called Winston-Salem. And if you recognize the word Winston because you've seen it on a box of cigarettes, or the word Salem because you've seen Salem's on the box of cigarettes, that's exactly what Winston-Salem is known for. The tobacco giant R.J. Reynolds is out of Winston-Salem, my hometown, but we also are the birthplace of Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme store number 1 is from the same city that I am, so you can only imagine how many donuts I ate as a kid, as a teenager, etc., and I love donuts. Environmentally, I am not able to restrict myself from having donuts, right? And I have full permission to have them because there are no bad foods. Donuts happen to be what I like to call a red light food for me. It means that I am immediately and irrevocably uncontrolled around donuts. If I have a box of Krispy Kreme glazed donuts, I eat a box of Krispy Kreme glazed donuts. Now, I don't see that as problematic necessarily for 2 reasons. Number 1, I keep them out of my immediate environment. And number 2, if I want them, I can have them. I have full permission to have them. Here's how I go about having Krispy Kreme donuts. I have to put my shoes on, one of my favorite hats, right? I've got to go get my keys, which hang magnetically on the refrigerator. I've got to put my shoes on because I don't wear shoes in the house, so my shoes are near the front door. I have to go down 4 flights of steps in my apartment building. I have to get into my car. I have to drive across town. I have to stand in line at Krispy Kreme, pull my wallet out, order my 2 donuts, get them, come back to the car, drive back home, go back up those 4 flights of steps, take my shoes off, no shoes in the house, sit down and eat my Krispy Kreme donuts. And usually I like to have a little cold milk with mine. I've created an environment where Krispy Kreme isn't readily available to me. So I both have permission to have it. If I'm willing to do what I just said, go across town and get a serving. 2 donuts is what I consider a serving. I don't get the box. I don't get donuts for later. I get donuts to satisfy the craving that I'm having now. My immediate environment is organized, the O in the HOPE method. I've organized my environment where there's fruit in a glass bowl in the refrigerator, even as we're speaking, where there are no donuts on my countertop, not an abundance of donuts that I can choose from, right? Where there are glasses of water that I'll set out overnight because I like room temperature water. That's delicious. So I've organized my environment in a way, and a lot of you, what you do is you want to challenge your willpower. I'm going to get blank for the kids. No disrespect to doing that. My mom had treats in the house for me when I was little. I get it. I'm going to get blank for the kids, and I'm not going to eat it. It's for them. And at 9:45 tonight, you'll be hiding behind the pantry door, indulging in something that you can't resist because, number 1, it's been a consistent coping mechanism for you over the course of your life. Number 2, it's highly palatable and delicious, right? So it's right there. You're not putting any friction between you and the mindless consumption of something that you may feel slightly regretful for consuming. Whereas if you organize your environment to create more friction between you and this thing, there's less of a chance that you're going to consume it. The people that we feel are most disciplined are not indeed the most disciplined people. Typically, they are the people who have better understanding of setting their environment for success. The O in the HOPE method is organizing your environment to make it more difficult for you to binge or overconsume things that are not in line with your intention for your health, and make it easier to consume things that are. Changing your environment can be a game changer. The P in the HOPE method that's going to help prevent you from overeating, overconsuming feeling like you're out of control around food, is integrating more protein in your day. Now, we've been around the block on protein on social media, right? Particularly for women in the spectrum of what we consider midlife. I'd say conservatively 35 to 65 years young women, right? You've heard all about the protein. If you're in the menopause spectrum, you've heard how important it is there. I'm going to tell you why it's so important from this perspective. Number one, protein makes you feel fuller longer. Typically protein and fiber, but if I said protein and fiber, that would ruin my acronym. I can't do that. I can't ruin a good acronym. I might have to present this stuff on stage. So I can't talk about the fiber, but it's important. Protein is going to help you feel fuller longer. Number two, protein is going to help better regulate your blood sugar throughout the course of the day. A lot of times we have blood sugar spikes throughout the course of the day. It's up and it's down. Typically, for the population that I work with, a lot of this gets kicked off with the coffee in the morning, right? You've got your extra frappe mocha latte thing, and it's got an abundance, shall we say, of sugar. And that sugar response sends you up to the moon. And then very quickly it becomes Apollo 13 and your rocket ship starts to crash. So you got Houston, you have a problem. So that sugar cycling and the cycling of your blood sugar, actually it sort of releases cortisol, not sort of, it does throughout the course of the day when your blood sugar is rising and falling. And protein is one of the things that's going to help you keep it steady. Again, protein is very filling, it's very satiating. You won't feel as ravenous at later points in the day if you're able to ingest some type of protein throughout the day. A lot of the times, the complaint that I'll get from new clients is, Ren, I drink my coffee in the morning, I do my exercise. Coffee's not breakfast, by the way, but that's not the subject of this live broadcast. I drink my coffee in the morning, and I do my workout on coffee, which doesn't make sense. After my workout, I have a protein shake, and then I get so busy at work, I don't eat until dinner. But you know what happens, Ren? After I eat dinner, I feel ravenous. I feel like I have to eat every snack in my cabinet right after I eat dinner. You hungry, sis? You put your body through the stress of the day, the work of the day, a great exercise routine, and then you gave it a quarter tank of gas to drive the entire Route 66 from the East Coast to the West Coast. Your car is going to end up on the side of the road, or you're going to end up getting a horrible price on your gas, right? You'll be desperate when you see a gas station. And what happens is we run our vehicle down, and then when we see a gas station, we get desperate. And we're unable to make a good choice because we're in a situation where we have to make just any choice as quickly as possible. And you feel hungry after dinner. And most of your snacking happens at night. And because you don't eat during the day, you're eating more convenient things at night. And you're eating more highly palatable things at night. And you're eating closer to bed at night, which might be problematic for you. So, the P is protein. And if you're getting it throughout the course of the day, it will help you better manage your blood sugar. It'll help you feel fuller longer, particularly in combination with fiber. Get some vegetables. And you won't feel as ravenous throughout the day. At the end of the day, rather, you won't feel as ravenous at the end of the day because you felt satiated throughout the course of the day. Let's move on to the E in the HOPE method. And the E is for eating slowly. Now, this circles back around to the first story that I told when you were a toddler or maybe 4 years old or so, maybe 3. And your hunger was the event of the house. And everything stopped. And maybe you got your favorite chair or your favorite high chair, depending on how young you were. And you were fed slowly, right? Because the airplane had to go back into the hangar and scoop up more supplies before it flew back to its destination. And you chewed it, and hopefully you danced. Like I just kind of don't like people who don't dance when they eat because food is so good, and I just don't understand that. So hopefully you danced while you're eating, and hope you never stop dancing. Never stop dancing. and you danced when you ate, and you waited and you waited, and it wasn't quick, and you weren't trying to scarf it down, and then you like, so you want some more, baby? I think she wants some more, honey. And then the next airplane came. You were eating slowly. And in eating slowly, you allowed your body to do what it was born to do. It was able to recognize that it was satisfied. And then one point, the airplane came in and the hangar was closing. Or you got overfilled and blah, you ruined dad's new tie or mom's new blouse, right? They had to go change. Oh, sweetie, oh, she got me, honey. So eating slowly is something that your body's built to do in order to better recognize that it's had enough to eat. Now, the quality of the food that you're eating matters here, because some of the highly processed food, ultra processed food, has been made to bypass your satiety signaling. It's made so that you can't eat just one Lay's brand potato chip. There's science there. However, when you're eating actually food, if you slow down, your body's got built-in mechanisms. One is, well, two of them are your satiety and your hunger hormone. Ghrelin is the hormone, one of the mechanisms that makes you hungry. I always remember ghrelin like Gremlins, because the Gremlins came out in the 80s when I was a kid, and they ate everything. And leptin, Leptin, is your satiety hormone. It's the hormone that secretes to tell you that you've had enough to eat. The challenge with that satiety hormone is that it can take about 15 or 20 minutes to finally secrete and signal to the brain that you've had enough in your stomach. And what happens all too often is we eat so fast, probably finish a plate in 7 minutes or less. We eat so fast that we overshoot the runway. And by the time the signaling happens, we've already overstuffed. And you get that feeling of hitting that brick wall, right? You lean back in your chair at your favorite restaurant, you gotta adjust your fan. Ugh. Whew. I'm glad you're driving, honey. I don't think I can drive. Man, I'm stuffed, right? If you slow down to eat, eating slowly, the last letter in the acronym for HOPE, eating slowly will help you better regulate the amount of food that you eat naturally. You don't have to know the specific calories. I'm not downing calorie counting. If that's what you want to do, it's absolutely fine. But you were built in a way that you can signal yourself to not overconsume food. This is actually the first lesson that my clients learn over the course of the 15-week program. Eating slowly allows you to stop when you're done. You'll have some more food on your plate, and yes, some of that old verbiage, the old habits, the old information, the parenting will kick in when you see that there's food left. And you may feel psychologically the challenge of consuming it all, even though you notice that you're full, because that recorded playback of you asked for all that food, you better eat it, young lady, right? Or we don't waste food in this house. What do you think plays in your head when you go to your favorite restaurant where they overserve you? You don't think that plays out subconsciously? That huge platter of food becomes a personal challenge to you that's attached to your morality, and you overconsume it. So it takes a little while to get used to eating slowly. Slow down your pace, try to time it, and give yourself 15 minutes to finish what you're eating. Try to time it and give yourself 20 minutes to finish what you're eating. Of course, there are cases where this doesn't work, right? Probably won't work if you're having one peanut butter and jelly sandwich, for instance. But when you're eating a plated meal, it's a great technique that I didn't invent. This comes from the brilliant minds at Precision Nutrition and I'm sure other nutritionally aware scientists and doctors and psychologists. But give yourself the opportunity to eat slowly, and you will probably notice that you feel rather satisfied while there's still food on your plate. So we're controlling those cravings. We're feeling more in control around food because we're using the HOPE method, which first asks us to honor our hunger, fuel our body when it needs it. Because being hungry and tired at the end of the day is a recipe for being out of control around everything that's in your pantry. O, we're going to organize our environment, right? Because the best way to not feel out of control around things in your pantry is to not have the easy access to those things in your pantry in the first place. P, we're going to prioritize protein. It's going to make us feel fuller longer, and we'll feel better satiated. It'll help us regulate what's typically our oscillating blood sugar throughout the day that causes cortisol spikes and causes us to initiate cravings. And E, we're going to eat slowly. No matter what we eat, to the extent that we can, we're just going to slow down and allow our very wise 200,000-year-old body's system to do what it was built to do, to signal us that we've had enough to eat so that we don't overconsume. This isn't something that's going to solve your relationship with food tomorrow. This is a practice. It's a skill. All too often, and you'll see a post go up about this later today from me, all too often we think that we need a program and a calorie count. What we need is an education and to be coached through practicing the skill that we're learning. Macronutrient counts, calorie counts don't solve food issues. Skills do, and coaching does. I'm off that soapbox. Paying the bills one more time. Currently have 3 spots left for enrollment in my 15-week signature program for women. It's called the Women's Liberation Movement. If you're a woman in midlife who wants to feel at home in her body again, strong and empowered, and you want to develop a better relationship, a healthy relationship with food without calorie counting, without weighing or measuring food, without macronutrient counting, this program may be a good fit for you. DM me the word live, Live. I'll respond in the DM. I'll ask a few questions. We'll go back and forth to see if or how I might be able to help you with this program. And if we're a good fit, we'll go forward. Otherwise, at the very least, I'll give you something at no cost that will help you on your journey. My programs are not no cost, though. Let me be clear about that. Until tomorrow, when I do my last live broadcast of the week, let's keep it simple. Thanks for rocking with me, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. Until tomorrow, let's keep it simple. Have a great Saturday.